Libra, dear soul, you're about to become wealthy, and the abundance coming your way is not just for you. It's about to bless your entire family. And if you're here watching this right now, that's not coincidence. It's confirmation. This message is not a forecast. It's a divine appointment. One that was set in motion long before today through your quiet sacrifices, your unseen faith, and the ancestral prayers whispered through your bloodline. The universe has chosen you, Libra, to break cycles of lack and usher in a new era of peace, stability, and spiritual wealth. And it's already beginning. You didn't land on this video by chance. You were drawn here gently, intentionally, because your spirit is aligning with something sacred. Something that's been waiting for you to be ready. This reading isn't just a horoscope. It's a soul message, anchored in astrology, supported by tarot, and confirmed by divine signs that your time has come. In this exact cosmic moment, Jupiter, the planet of expansion, generosity, and inheritance, is moving through the part of your chart that governs home, roots, and legacy. This means that from within your foundation, wealth is rising. Not the flashy kind that disappears overnight, but the kind that settles quietly into your home, fills your fridge, heals family relationships, and makes your nervous system finally relax. And here's what makes this so powerful. This isn't a solo miracle. It's a shared one. Your rise is meant to lift your entire family, even those who may not understand your journey, even the ones you've had to distance yourself from to find your truth. The blessings coming your way are a response to years of emotional labor, to your efforts to hold the balance, to choose peace over pride, and to keep believing even when there was no evidence. You may have noticed the signs: repeating numbers, unusual dreams, emotional waves rising from nowhere. Don't dismiss them. They're not random. They're reminders. Your soul recognizes that something big is near. And you're right. At Zodiac Whisper Tarot, we don't just speak into possibility, we help you walk through the doorway of it. So before we go deeper into this life-changing reading, I want to invite you to actively claim the vibration that brought you here. Comment below right now, "I am ready to prosper with my loved ones 888. Not just to type it, but to speak it into existence. Words are energy. And this declaration sends a frequency into the field, signaling your agreement with the abundance that's unfolding. And Libra, please let me take a moment to thank you from the depths of my heart for being here. Every like, every comment, every share, every subscription brings you deeper into the spiritual family we're building here. Your presence is not just support, it's a sacred exchange. You are helping sustain this space so that transformational messages like this can continue reaching the hearts that need them most. So stay with me until the very end. Because what the universe is about to reveal in this reading is not only miraculous, it's deeply personal. And something tells me, Libra, you're finally ready to receive what's always been yours. There are moments when the sky mirrors the hidden truths we carry within, and right now, Libra, your celestial blueprint is quietly waking up. You may not fully see it yet, but something deep beneath the surface, something ancestral, emotional, and beautifully grounded is shifting in your favor. As Jupiter, the planet of generosity and expansion, begins to form a harmonious trine with both the Moon and Venus, it lights up the 4th house in your birth chart. This is not a casual placement. This is where soul meets soil, where legacy meets presence, and where your relationship to family, origin, and emotional safety begins a sacred renewal. The fourth house is often misunderstood as simply home, but in truth, it holds the entire energetic architecture of your inner world. It governs where you come from, who shaped you, and what emotional patterns were passed down to you not just biologically, but energetically. So when a benevolent force like Jupiter enters this space, it doesn't just bring a blessing. It brings restoration. It expands the capacity of your roots to hold abundance without fear. It invites healing not only for yourself, but for the generations who came before and those yet to come. This transit may show up as something tangible, an unexpected financial windfall, an inheritance, a piece of property finally changing hands, or assistance arriving from a family member you hadn't heard from in a long time. But often, the physical manifestation is just the echo. The real movement begins with something softer, a conversation long avoided, a chance to forgive a parent, a letter received from someone you thought had forgotten you. These are not accidents. They are alignments. They are doors unlocking. And perhaps what's most remarkable is that many of these shifts begin internally, even before life rearranges externally. You might notice a quiet realization dawning that you no longer need to hold on to survival stories. That the energy of just getting by is no longer yours to carry. You are not meant to repeat the struggle. You are meant to break the cycle. In practical terms, this is a moment to check in with the structure of your emotional and financial foundation. Are there outdated beliefs about money rooted in guilt, silence, or fear? Are there decisions you've postponed out of a desire to keep the peace within your family? Jupiter's activation encourages you to ask these questions not to shame yourself, but to liberate yourself. To realign with the part of you that deeply knows abundance is your natural state when you are grounded in truth. This isn't about achieving perfection or following a set of rules. It's about becoming more honest with yourself. Trusting that the family you come from, no matter how fractured, complicated, or distant, does not define the limits of what you can create. You are being given the spiritual permission to build something better. And yes, this may mean becoming the first in your lineage to know true peace. That can feel lonely at times, but it is sacred work. And if you're wondering whether you're truly ready to carry this kind of blessing, let me gently remind you, you wouldn't be here if you weren't. Grace doesn't require perfection. It simply waits for your willingness. You're not behind. You're aligned. And maybe this is the season where you stop asking, when will it happen for me, and start realizing it's already happening. Take a breath, Libra. Anchor that knowing. The blessing is not rushing in, it's rising from within. If you feel that, even a little, I invite you to write it down. Declare it in the comments. I am ready to build the foundation my family always dreamed of. 777. Let that number hold your intention. Let your words become your witness. Let this be the moment you stop carrying survival and start cultivating sanctuary. Something remarkable begins to happen when the imagery of tarot aligns so precisely with both your sign and the energy already unfolding in your life. Libra, if you've made it to this point in the message, your spirit is already tuned to the frequency of truth. And not just truth as an abstract concept, but truth that's personal, embodied, and finally ready to be lived out in practical, material ways. The appearance of both the Ten of Pentacles and Justice in your reading is not only significant, it's sacred. These two cards don't arrive casually. They arrive when your internal foundation is strong enough to receive what's lasting. Let's begin with the Ten of Pentacles, a card often misunderstood as merely financial. While it certainly does signal wealth, it's not the type that burns fast and fades. This is wealth with roots. Legacy wealth. The kind that flows through generations, through decisions made with care, through homes built on peace and not survival. This card doesn't speak about a lucky win or a sudden flash of fortune. It speaks about security that can finally settle, and the kind that shows up in a full fridge, paid bills, healed family stories, and a quiet confidence in the future. When this card shows itself to you, especially as a Libra, it's asking you to reflect on what you've been building quietly behind the scenes. The late nights of worry. The sacrifices you made in silence. The emotional labor that no one praised. You've been laying bricks in the dark, Libra, and this card says now, the house can hold the blessing. You're not just the one receiving. You're the one who is making room for the abundance that's already on its way. Now we move to Justice, your ruling card, the mirror of your soul in the tarot. When Justice appears, especially alongside the Ten of Pentacles, it signals a divine correction. Not punishment. Not karma in the punitive sense. But a spiritual rebalancing. A sacred response to everything that's been tilted too long. This card is the universe's way of saying, you've done enough. You've proven your heart. You no longer have to fight for fairness. Now, fairness comes to you. And here's the part that often brings the deepest shift. Justice does not require you to prove yourself again. Many Libras carry the burden of being the peacemaker, the harmonizer, the one who smooths out the rough edges even at their own expense. You may have tried for years to prove your worth through perfection, overgiving, or self-sacrifice. But this moment calls you into a softer kind of power. One where you don't strive, you allow. One where you don't chase, you align. In real-world terms, this may look like opportunities finally coming to you without the exhausting push. Conversations resolving that you thought were lost. A chance to receive what you once thought you had to earn through endless effort. You'll notice people start treating you differently, not because they've changed, but because you have. You're carrying the frequency of someone who no longer doubts their value. If you're unsure how to integrate this, here's a gentle practice. Take a journal and write 2 headings. 1. What have I sown? The other, what am I preparing to reap? Be honest. Be tender with yourself. You may be surprised by how much you've already invested in your growth, in your healing, and in your future. This reflection is not about metrics. It's about energetic acknowledgement. The act of honoring your past choices creates space for the present miracle to land. Sometimes we think we need to work harder to receive more. But that's not always how grace works. Grace, much like love, often flows strongest to those who make room not through striving, but through surrender. If you've spent years trying to hold everything together, trying to be fair, trying to be enough, this moment invites you to simply be still. And let what's yours arrive. So Libra, ask yourself now, am I willing to receive what I've already earned with my quiet courage? Let that question sit with you. And if the answer is yes, even just a whisper of a yes, then you've already begun. You may have thought this journey was yours alone, Libra, but you're starting to realize that your transformation was never meant to be isolated. The energy surrounding you now is not just personal, it's collective. It's layered, multigenerational, and deeply relational. The blessings arriving at your doorstep aren't merely tailored for your own healing or wealth. They're arriving as an echo, a ripple, a divine response to everything your family in the broadest, most soulful sense has carried, sacrificed, and longed for. And you, dear Libra, are the vessel through which restoration begins to flow. This moment, cosmically speaking, is not just about what you're ready to receive but about what you're willing to pass on. That's the essence of energetic inheritance. When you shift, others feel it. When you say yes to a new possibility, even quietly, that yes becomes a door. Suddenly, someone in your family who's been stuck in fear begins to hope again. A parent who never said, "I'm proud of you," may finally find the courage to do so. A child in your life may receive an opportunity that you once only dreamed of. And none of that is accidental. It's all part of the alignment. This is what we call a sacred pattern of release. Not just the release of financial flow, but the release of fear, of silence, of broken generational agreements that told you love must be earned or that peace can only come through self-sacrifice. You are rewriting those stories now, not by force, but by embodiment. By simply choosing differently. Choosing compassion over resentment. Choosing stability over survival mode. Choosing presence. Sometimes, we don't realize how closely our emotional state is tied to the well-being of the people around us. And yet, when you heal your relationship with abundance, you open the space for your family to heal their own stories around money, worth, and safety. When you show up differently, more whole, more at ease, more forgiving, others feel that shift even before you say a word. That's how deep energetic influence works. This is why it's no surprise that certain relationships from your past might reappear now. A sibling reaching out. A parent expressing something they never have before. A relative you haven't heard from in years resurfacing with unexpected news, maybe even a financial tie or unresolved inheritance. When we begin to shift spiritually, life responds by bringing up unfinished business, not to punish us, but to complete what was left undone. This isn't regression. It's sacred opportunity. And sometimes, the miracle isn't in receiving a financial blessing but in repairing a broken bond. A heartfelt conversation. A quiet moment of being seen. You may be asked to take the first step not because it's your fault, but because you now carry the strength and awareness to lead with grace. You've grown into the role of the bridge, the safe place, the one who can hold space without needing to control the outcome. That's not weakness, Libra. That's wisdom. If this resonates with you, consider taking a moment to pause and reflect. Who in your family might be silently praying for help right now? And what if your breakthrough is meant to be theirs too, not through obligation, but through energetic overflow? You don't have to fix anyone. But you can become a channel. A warm light. A stabilizing force. Sometimes, that's all it takes for a miracle to find its way through. Let this be your reminder that abundance isn't just a number in a bank account. It's also the laughter that returns to a quiet kitchen. The sigh of relief when a child knows they are safe. The healing that takes place around the dinner table after years of avoidance. You are not just receiving a blessing. You are becoming one. And if your heart feels this truth even slightly, I invite you to anchor it by sharing in the comments. My family will be blessed through my healing 717. Because sometimes the first step toward transformation is saying it out loud. Not everything you carry, Libra, was meant to be yours. And sometimes the greatest act of abundance is simply the moment you decide to set something down. Up until now, you've spent so much of your energy maintaining peace in your home, in your family, in your finances, often at the quiet expense of your own needs. But this chapter asks something different from you. It asks you not to abandon your gift of balance, but to finally include yourself in the equation. This is where the energy becomes less abstract and more embodied. You are being asked to move from the theory of abundance to the lived experience of it, and that transition always begins with emotion. Because whether we realize it or not, money and emotional safety are deeply intertwined. Financial flow isn't just about numbers. It's about nervous system regulation. It's about the stories we've attached to our self-worth, our family roles, and our perceived responsibilities. And Libra, your soul has held too many shoulds for too long. When you carry emotional pressure around finances, you may begin to believe that accepting help is weakness, or that receiving more than others makes you selfish. You may hold guilt about past mistakes, decisions made from survival, or a family history of scarcity that made you feel like success must come through struggle. But none of that defines you now. You are being invited to rewrite the agreement. This is where the real healing starts, not by perfecting your budget or mastering investment strategies, though those matter too, but by stepping back and asking yourself, what energy am I bringing into my relationship with money? Is it fear? Is it over-responsibility? Is it shame? And most importantly, what am I ready to release? You may want to try a simple but powerful self-healing exercise. On a blank page, draw 3 columns. Title them, I forgive, I receive, and I prepare. Then let your intuition guide you. Under, I forgive, write down any past financial decisions that still feel heavy even if they weren't yours. Maybe you took on debt to help someone else. Maybe you made a choice that didn't work out. Write it. Honor it. Let it go. In the I receive column, allow yourself to name the blessings you are ready for. Not what you think you should want, but what your heart truly longs for. A stable home. A peaceful bank account. Help from someone you trust. Permission to rest. Let the words land softly. And in the 3rd column, I prepare, list the ways you're ready to make space for these blessings. Maybe it's organizing your paperwork. Maybe it's having a difficult but honest conversation with a family member about shared property. Maybe it's simply committing to being more open when someone offers support. These small choices anchor the energy in real time. You see, healing your finances isn't about chasing more, it's about making room for better. And while you don't need to be perfect to receive, you do need to be present. This moment is a chance to unclench, to breathe, and to believe that ease is not only possible, it's deserved. And yes, it's okay if part of you still struggles to believe that. Grace doesn't require full certainty. It begins with willingness. Just like faith in action, the law of attraction works when you combine energetic alignment with practical movement. You don't need to figure it all out today. But you can take one step. And maybe today, that step is choosing to forgive yourself. To release the silent tension in your chest. To open the door, even just a crack, and whisper, I'm ready for more. If you feel that even slightly, I invite you to affirm it below. I am releasing guilt and preparing for financial peace. 12:12. Because sometimes, clarity doesn't come all at once. Sometimes, it comes the moment you stop trying to carry it all alone. There's a kind of wealth that doesn't arrive with fanfare or loud declarations. It doesn't crash through the door or scream for attention. Instead, it tiptoes in gently, like a soft light turning on at dawn, subtle, but unmistakable. Libra, this is the energy you're entering now. After everything you've endured, after all the roles you've played for others, you're stepping into a form of prosperity that doesn't demand to be seen. It allows you to finally exhale. This isn't about proving your success. It's about feeling safe inside it. And that, in itself, is a miracle. Real abundance isn't always a dramatic windfall. It's waking up and realizing your fridge is full, your bills are paid, and your home doesn't carry tension in the walls. It's being able to rest, truly rest without guilt. It's your children, or your inner child, no longer absorbing fear through the unspoken. It's knowing that you're no longer surviving moment by moment, but building something that lasts. In astrology, wealth isn't only found in the 2nd or 8th houses. True, those areas govern money and shared resources, but the 4th house, the one currently activated in your chart, is where security becomes embodied. This is where you begin to feel a deep sense of emotional stability. Where your roots take hold in soil rich enough to support not only your dreams, but the dreams of those you love. It's where safety is not conditional, it's your new foundation. You've been carrying others for a long time, Libra. Sometimes financially, often emotionally. You've been the one to balance, to soften the blow, to stretch yourself thin so that others wouldn't have to feel lack. But now, the scales are shifting, not because the universe is rewarding your effort, but because you finally believe you're allowed to receive without overfunctioning. That shift changes everything. It's the moment you realize that receiving doesn't make you selfish, it makes you whole. When wealth arrives in this way, it doesn't shake your world, it steadies it. It makes room for quiet dinners, deep sleep, soft mornings. And while it might not look glamorous on the outside, it feels like gold inside your nervous system. This is the kind of abundance that allows you to trust the next step, not fear it. To plan for the future with calm, instead of scrambling to survive the present. You may notice this energy in simple ways: a surprise refund, a friend offering support, a small yet significant shift in your work-life balance. These are not random. They are signals that the ground beneath you is stabilizing. That provision is no longer something you must chase, it's something that's meeting you where you are, because you've cleared the emotional space for it to land. And while you may have grown up believing that money must come with pressure, that safety must be earned, you're now being invited to believe something softer, that you are already worthy of a life that doesn't require you to shrink. That love can live alongside comfort. That peace is not a privilege, it's part of your inheritance. As someone who has studied both energy and lived experience for many years, I've seen how this kind of transformation doesn't always feel groundbreaking. In fact, it often feels ordinary. But don't underestimate the quiet miracles. A woman once told me that after years of financial chaos, her biggest breakthrough wasn't a 6-figure check, it was the moment she realized she could pay her rent a week early and sleep through the night without checking her bank account. That was her healing. That was her freedom. Maybe yours looks different. But it's no less sacred. If your body is already starting to feel lighter as you listen, that's your signal. A sacred yes rising from within. And if you're ready to welcome in this grounded, sustainable form of wealth, the kind that blesses not just your life but everyone connected to you. Declare it. Write in the comments below, I am ready to prosper with my loved ones. 888. Not to chase, not to prove, but simply to align. Because this time, Libra, you're not asking for more. You're allowing it. And that's the greatest act of power you've ever chosen. Libra, your abundance doesn't begin with what enters your life, it begins with what you decide to release. You've held space for so many others. You've waited patiently for your turn. You've stayed soft in a world that often told you softness was weakness. But now, in this moment, the universe is asking for one simple thing: that you stop waiting to be worthy, and begin living like you already are. You've planted the seeds. Through silent sacrifices. Through choices no one saw. Through moments where you could have shut down, but you chose to stay open. And that matters. More than you know. The shift you've been waiting for doesn't require more hustle, it requires your permission. Can you give yourself that today? The beauty of this season is that you no longer need to prove yourself. You don't need to shape-shift to maintain peace. You don't need to carry the emotional burden of others in order to feel safe. What you're being offered now is a clean, powerful beginning, one rooted in emotional clarity, financial healing, and spiritual alignment. A life where your nervous system can breathe. Where the people you love are not just surviving but growing with you. And if you're wondering whether it's too late, it's not. The universe is never behind schedule. Miracles don't arrive when you're perfect. They arrive when you're consistent. When you keep showing up, even in the dark, even when you're unsure. And Libra, you've done that. With tenderness. With resilience. With grace. That's why you're here. That's why the door is open. So take a breath with me right now. Inhale trust. Exhale shame. And ask yourself quietly, what do I want to leave behind? What kind of home, story, or feeling do I want the next generation to inherit even if I never meet them? A home filled with love? A story of rising from hardship with hope? A heart that finally knows peace? Let this be your invitation to take one aligned action today. It doesn't have to be big. But it has to be real. In your finances, create a 6-month plan from the mindset of, I already have. In your body, try the 4-4-4 breathing rhythm or take a morning walk with lemon water. In your career, reflect, am I growing here, or simply enduring? In your relationships, speak one truth that you've been holding, maybe an, I love you, or a, thank you for being here. And in your spirit, write down the 3 biggest lessons you've learned in silence. Or record a moment of modern-day grace, a small miracle you witnessed but never shared. Because real wealth, Libra, is not loud. It's soft, sustainable, and sacred. It's a fridge that's full, a bed that feels safe, a future that's no longer feared. It's the moment you realize you don't have to fight anymore, you just have to receive. If your heart has been whispering, if your eyes welled up without knowing why, it's not weakness. It's recognition. You've just come home to yourself, the version of you that's always known this time would come. Thank you, truly, for being here. Every like, every comment, every moment you spend with Zodiac Whisper Tarot breathes life into this sacred space. Your presence isn't just appreciated, it's cherished. And your support helps carry this mission forward, one soul at a time. If you're ready for your next chapter for quiet peace, real wealth, and blessings that touch everyone you love, write it with me now in the comments. I am ready for a new chapter with the ones I love. 888. Let it be your vow, your offering, your beginning. And if this message touched something deep in you, pass it on. Share it with someone who needs to remember that they, too, are worthy of being blessed. Because when we rise together. And Libra, your time is now.